Hey, good evening, everyone. Hey, Peace, nice to see you already. There comes the first questions. Hello, Rahul. We can take today a look into it, because in the live streams I started yesterday already with some live testing scenarios. So maybe we find some tests that you are interested in, or how to write tests in general, depending on what you want to see. So make the music a little bit silent or quieter. And here I have to increase it again. And now the music is off. Do you have any special wishes for tonight? Do you have some ideas what we want to do, or ideas what you want to see? Questions maybe that came up from yesterday, and we can do it beforehand, before the stream starts. So in the meantime, I still have a look on the side. So, that. Make fun. If you're playing with streams, it makes a lot of fun, because you have so many tools and things you can try out and stuff like that. So it's amazing. So I can just recommend you, if you are never have done that, it's really fun if you like new tools and playing around with all kind of things. So I have today again a new thing that I want to share with you, and I'm really curious if you like it or not. But I was already extremely excited because, as I said, I love new tools. So sadly, it's still not possible to create votes by Nightbot, which is still very sad. Still have to fight with that a little bit. Absolutely, Vinit. You are more than welcome to watch this video, and also if you have questions, you are more than welcome to ask them. The stream will start in 5 minutes. Until then, I will still try to prepare some stuff, but then I'm completely yours. I show behind the scenes. We can do that, but honestly, it has changed quite a lot in the last couple of months, so it's always evolving. So maybe what I can show you directly before the stream starts is, for example, my equipment that I have currently. So it's that microphone here with the microphone stand, which I really don't like. Then we have one Mac. This is the one I'm working currently on. Then on the other side, we have the small Mac here. So this is my recording thing. You can see directly OBS and stuff. So this is the computer that you usually see. And there is my camera. Up here is my key light. So when I create videos, that it looks nice, and my printer and my stuff. Then we have my folders for the whole bureaucracy in Germany, which is very difficult. And then we have some background lighting and my logo. There we have the whiteboard. Sometimes I work also with that if I'm teacher Weber. And then we have a window that I get some light. But I have put on some tinfoil stuff so that the sun rays don't be too strong. And the camera that you see at the moment is a Logitech CS900 something. No worries. I have the time at the moment. So, but in the meantime, I wanted to go to a website and try something. And in my older videos, you will probably also see all the equipment in the video description where I put everywhere a link into. So like that, and here. But maybe it's a cool streaming topic for Sundays or something. So if we have our Q&A topic, then I think that would be very cool to talk about that. Pop, pop, pop. Loudbot, caps protection, whatever. So 3 minutes left. Maybe I can even set up something. Here. Ooh. Hey, thanks for the subscription. GitHub site, docs, next stream uptime. Timers. Okay, so this is what I will try later. This is that. Now let's go to our repository, the Flashcard. Good. Okay, so I think we can start. One place of advice on how to be good Flutter and how long it takes you to reach that place. Yeah, Winnet, that is a very good question at the beginning because I can't answer it to you. It really depends on where you are. I am now a software engineer since 8 years, I guess, or 7 years. Time flies by. And in that time, I was working a lot in the web environment. I learned a lot of front end, but I always saw myself as a full stack developer. Reason of that is I don't like to work only in one side of the application. I want to understand and want to bring business value as good as possible. And this is usually possible if you understand how back and front end work together and are interconnected. From that, I started Flutter 3 years ago now, and it took me like a half a year really to work each day a little bit with it to understand the nuances of it. The good thing is I had already experience with object-oriented programming languages like Java and Python. Okay, Python not really object-oriented, but you can if you want. So that helped me a lot to get into Dart, of course, and so I already understood the core concepts of it. And then I started with Flutter, and I really liked it, and I still love it, to be honest. If I compare it to other programming languages or frameworks that it delivers me the same feature set, it feels mature, it feels strong, and the results that I create so far are always to my pleasing, so I'm always happy with it. And even if I don't release an app directly, it always looks good, you know? I managed something. So even this app for sure has its problems yet, but it's getting better every day. Ah, yeah, the one-man startup. I know him actually. I watched his videos too when I started, and he's also creating all this stuff, and he creates videos out of it. And yeah, so I also had the idea to plan. The issue is I am not really anymore full-time in the Flutter environment, so that always costs me time, and I see myself more like a tutor, like I want to mentor and tutor. And what most people don't know, the most of the money that I earn from YouTube, for example, I try to invest in purpose. So whatever we don't need for YouTube itself, it's going into schools here in the area, or I want to try to give my YouTube channel a purpose. So I don't want to earn that money to be more rich. It's really going into reinvesting. So for example, code.org is something that I try to put into schools here nearby and things like that. It's like programming, learning for children and things like that. So I always try to and put that in first place. But if I come ever to the point where I don't have enough new video ideas, I think I will come back to that. Good. So maybe just a quick recap what this stream is about. I know for most of you it's already boring, but I want to give everyone the option to, if he starts with this video series, to understand at least a little bit what we are doing. So I am doing these live streams usually by learning it myself and also with you. So that means I will Google, I will search, I will debug, I will make mistakes as you do during your development. Of course, I have some experience, so sometimes I will be a bit fast. Hopefully you will slow me down, ask me questions whenever there are coming some up. And in the meantime, I try to develop with you guys an open source flashcard project. So the idea is that you have the possibility to enter your flashcards in a Google Drive, in a Google Sheet. And these flashcards getting loaded into your app. And you can now start the app and answer the questions if you are right and wrong. So this is the small idea, so that if you're in the university and learn something, like for example Flutter, then you can create your own flashcards. And these flashcards will be shared with the community, and everything is open source. So the idea is that everyone can use that source code if he wants. So you will find the source code down in the video description below. And did I miss something? Are there any open questions so far? Else we would maybe jump right into the code where we left the last time. Don't see anything in the chat. So, all right, let's head over. And now I'm coming to one of my favorite new additions that I found yesterday. By the way, I installed 2 new plugins on macOS, and the first one is Key Drawer. And what is Key Drawer? You will see now that if I press a key on my keyboard, then it will be shown. So reason for that is I'm working in Android Studio a lot with shortcuts. That means if I press, for example, Command Shift A, then it opens up my action list. Excuse me, it's opening up my action lists. And or if I press Command comma, then you will see, aha, the preferences open up. Usually you can't see that, and that always annoyed me because that helps you probably a lot. Another thing that I tried to improve, and I hope that works, but I didn't check it, to be honest, I will check it after the video, is that you can see this video now in 1080p, hopefully. That means if the quality is better, you will probably read the code even better in your on your screen. I hope both of that worked. Please let me know if there is something not working, as I hope. And we will maybe do it the next time better. So you see, I'm still playing around with these live streams. All things are in the flow. And if there is something, then please let me know. Usually I also try to answer as many questions as possible. So when you have a question, just write it in the chat and I will try to answer. Okay, how do we do that and how do we work? I try to work a little bit with test-driven development. So that means we try to write tests for each use case that we have. We will create for that services, or maybe later we will also work with a state management tool like Block, depending on how complex the app will be. So we will do every day, step by step, 2 hours or so on. So the live streams usually take 2 hours. And in this time, we want to talk and see how far we come. And if it's getting more complex, the app, Then we will start with the complex things like state management and going into it, maybe decide together for one. So I will maybe show you 1, 2, or 3 that we could use, and we decide which one will be the best for our solution and what are the benefits and downsides of each of the plugins. Good. Yes, it's working. Perfect. That's great stuff. Thank you, Shalom. Great news. As you know, or as you maybe saw, is that my timings for the stream are always a bit varying at the moment. So I hope that I can be tomorrow a bit earlier again. But depending on how much time and effort, and as I said, I have at the moment vacation. So I try to get one live stream each day this week, and I hope I will manage it. And then let's see. Okay, at the moment, our app works on Mac OS. The reason for that is we work with Dart.io. If I opening up the app, what we have done so far is we created already the app. We implemented that we can read a so-called CSV, comma, separated. I don't know what the V means. Or just, does your company encourage you to use TDD or just ship as possible? That's a very good question. Interesting enough, my company not really favors one of the both things, but I have a lot of coworkers who love TDD and they enforce it nearly. So it's always good to do it because there are always things you don't think about if you don't use it. And I think you will not be necessarily slower. The reason why you are usually slower in TDD is because you normally don't be so convenient with writing tests. So things getting a bit feeling sluggish. Comma separated value. Thank you, Check. Great stuff. So you see, that's a community issue. All the things that I will ask will be commented by you. And so we all know the right answers. So what you can see is we have German and English. So this is our more or less, the first thing is our hint. And the second thing is more or less the answer to it. So at the moment, we want to learn German in our app. And no, we want to learn English actually. And hello is our hint. And hello will be visible if we are pressing the card. And then we have to decide as an app user if this was correct. So tschüss means bye. Okay, I click on the card and buy it is. And now I can press on OK, we want to accept it, or cancel, no, that was wrong. And after that, I can press also on this redo button, which restarts the whole cards from beginning. So if I press now OK and press tschüss, press OK, we get some kind of text message. At the moment, these values are all not correct. But you can see it's just a bare usage possibility at the moment. So we can accept and decline, even though that they don't do a difference. But in the future, we want to do something. There is an algorithm for that. And that name was Flashcard. So if you search for that and with algorithm, then we find a cool Wikipedia, the spaced repetition. And the idea is to learn as good as possible. And there are some possible algorithms for that. And we could even work with a neural network, but I am pretty bad with that at the moment. So I don't have so much experience with that. So we could have a look into and try to implement it. But else I would just stick with the Leitner system, which seems a bit easier to understand and to do actually. And so we would have like 5 shelves and we want to move them inside of these shelves, our questions. Okay, I hope that made some sense. And if not, please let me know. TDD, okay, cool. So now we have that. We have this homepage. I hope we didn't have changes. Oh, we have. Okay, this was just my test rollback. So we don't want to use that and close up the tabs. The last time what we have done is we implemented also a small GitHub Actions test runner. So what happens is now we run our tests on the GitHub Actions. So if we do a mistake, we get here our issues. And on the issues page of the GitHub repository, we will collect our to-dos. So whenever we think we have to do something, we will add it here. And because I still can't do polls, I hope tomorrow we will do that. I would recommend to start now with the connection of Google Sheets. So we would like to try to have, instead of the CSV file here inside and also our CSV reader that we have at the homepage at the moment and receives that long URL path or file path, we would like to take Google Sheets for that. So that we'd say, okay, there is like a folder in our Google Cloud. What is it? Google Drive, I think is the name. Exactly. So let's head to Google Drive and let's see if I use the right account. Nope, this one. And here inside, we have now a folder which I will create and it will be open for everyone. So that one will be Flashcard App. And I will move also this folder here inside. No, not this. Yeah, like that. So now here inside, everyone in the future, at the moment it's not possible, but I will make this one completely available for everyone. So if you want, you can also create your own flashcards inside of here. So I can also share the link here. I think with that, it will be open for everyone. And the idea is that we have a folder, and the folder is the lecture that you want to give. So for example, learning English, or if you want learning Flutter. And then inside of here, we would have like the different Google Sheets. And one of them could be, for example, Lection 1. Lection 1. And then we call it, for example, let me think, widgets. And then we could add here like hint and answer. And as a hint, we have, for example, stateless widget. And then the answer could be a widget that does not contain local state. So something like that, and will not be rebuilt or whatever we want to write here inside. And this will be our card then. So this is the hint and this is the answer. And depending on which we can get it. Thank you, Vivek. I'm glad that you like it. Good. And the reason why I want to use Google Sheets is because it's super easy to use. You know, everyone knows Google Sheets, everyone understands Excel more or less and knows how to work with it. And with that, we can offer free sources for everyone who wants to create them. The only downside is probably that I cannot control it very easily at the moment. But now you can block people to drive. And choose block, okay, I don't know. Good. So, and what I want also to do in the future is to have these as like parents, and inside of it we have the next possibility and so on and so forth. So we need to create a little bit of a menu later, but this is step by step. How does you get that? Yeah, I talked about that at the beginning. We have a new tool called Key Drawer. And this key drawer allows me now to show you what I'm typing and how I press my keyboard. Shortcuts. Cool. Okay, so to access Google Spreadsheets, I already investigated a little bit. And as far as I know, there is a package called Google APIs. Exactly, so this one. And as far as I've understood, this one would allow me to access Google Drive in general. So, but I have no idea, I've never used it, so don't be sad if I'm not coming with a perfect solution yet. So generated Dart libraries for accessing Google APIs, that's already good. And if you know that, we come to the developers google.com API client library. And here we can check it, so we have Dart. Ah, this is this one, okay. To use any of the APIs, you need a cloud project. In addition, okay, Google provides a large set of APIs. Google products, Google Drive, Gmail, Cloud Data Store. So that means we can even access Gmail. Interesting. These APIs are accessible via REST, the data, and Google Api's beta package, which provide generated Dart libraries for these APIs, which are available for both web apps and cloud apps, is more convenient and less error prone than using the raw REST protocol. Okay, cool. With that package, we have an easier access. client, API key and client ID. Okay, so you will get there some info, and server application can access data owned by the application itself by using server's accounts. Okay. So APIs can be used to get the public data required only an API key. Unity create. I don't need authentication. Support Google APIs is in 2 packages. Google Drive is cloud storage. Okay. You can see the full list. Okay, and I'm coming back to here. Abusive experience, tolerate, access, context, add experience, admin SDK, AdMob, AdSense, Google Analytics, Google Play. Okay, it seems there are more. So let's search for, what is this? Google Docs? No, Google Drive. So Drive is the name. Drive API 2 or free, and I guess we want to work with free. Manage files, including uploading, downloading, searching, detecting changes, updating, sharing permissions. Okay, so let's have a documentation look. Develop Google Drive, enhance the Google Drive experience, insert interactive content, powerful by account data, automate Google Drive with simple code. Okay. Embed a file manager widget. Ah, cool. So we could even create a file manager inside of our app that will be adding the files, but I think we don't want that. Drive API. Okay, create files, manage file sharing, search for files in folders. Read a technical overview, upload files, download files. Read a technical, yep. Allows you to create an app that leverages Google Drive cloud storage. You can develop applications integrated with Google Drive and create robust functionality in your application. So it seems that we need an OAuth possibility, sadly, so we have to log in. But on the other side, if the file is already shared with everyone, so the link should be enough, right? I'm curious if this works. Let's see. Google Drive. File storage provides user with a personal storage space called My Drive and the option accessible collaborators, shared folders called shared drives. The REST API that allows you to from within your app. So it will be the Google Drive API probably. A Google Drive storage location that owns files that multiple users share to collaborate. Any user with access to a shared drive has access to all files it contains. Users can also be granted access to individual files inside of the shared drive. Okay, so shared drive. Let's try a quick start and see. So this works with Python. So as we see, we get a lot of Python things, so I'm not quite sure if this is helping at the moment. So what I would like to do is, what is the idea what we have? We want to access, share files, store application, return specific, search for files and folders, download files, add custom file properties, manage comments. Implement shared drive support, files.get. Aha. ID of shared drive to search, including items from all drives, corporate. Okay, so that doesn't help me a lot, to be honest, but we have to see if there is a possibility with the we go back to the API here, search for the drive once more, and check for the API details. And it's, whoop, that's wrong. Where's the drive now? This one. Go to the API details. Maybe we find here more. Changes, resources, drives, files, resources. Okay. Manage files in Drive, including uploading. Okay. Team drives. So it seems that the documentation is a little bit flaky here, sadly, but this is usual in the Google APIs because they are so big, so much stuff that you can access. So what we have to do probably is playing a bit around. So it will be a little bit of a testing area where we have to play a bit around with it. So how can we do that first or best? Team drives, channels, about team drives, themes, information about the user. Drive API. Can we search for Flutter Access Google Sheet? So maybe we find here something. Flutter tutorial. Ah, Johannes Mike did that already. Perfect. He's a good guy. Just can recommend this. Oh, look at that. There is a Sheets package with G Sheets and what's the package here? Alexander Marenkov. Basic usage. Accounts Google OAuth, okay. Dart access shared folder Google Cloud. Out service account from JSON. I'm trying to get in here. Google Cloud Storage, not file-based storage. Yeah, but this is not Google Drive. Well, hopefully this is not too difficult at the end that we have to write too many stuff, but okay. Okay, so we need an API for the whole thing. So let's have a look. We want to get a new project. This is our flashcard project. The organization will be no organization. That's fair enough, I guess. Create. And inside of here, we don't have anything here in the dashboard. We created a project, so we can select that now here. Good. And if you have never done that, what we are here seeing is the console cloud from Google, where we have the possibility to create new credentials for the different parts. So we search for a new thing, so Drive. Google Drive API allows clients to access resources from Google Drive. Okay. Hey Summit, hey Intraday, and Redditch. Ready, I think Ready is a good name. So then dismiss this one. We access the Google Drive API, we enable that. And with that, we will receive now the credentials, and this would be, and here in the credentials, we need now to create a service account for us. Ready is your last name, and the first name is Indratej, is that correct? Sorry. Service to server, no. Request user consent to so that your app can access the user's data. No, we don't want to have the user's data. And we want to have an app level. Okay, so we call that, for example, Flashcard user, service account description, access to the Flashcard drive, create and continue. Select the role, browser, editor, owner, viewer, read access. Yeah, I think a read access is enough. Do we have any conditions? No, I don't think so. So that's fair enough. Grant access to user or groups that need to perform actions as the service account. Grant users the permission to deploy jobs and VM. No. Done. I think that's fair enough. That's good enough. Yeah, of course I remember. You were the one who was a bit afraid that Minu was against your questions. So, showed enable workspace. We have permissions. He has access to it. So we have that. We have metrics. We see how often he calls. But now this user has now actually access to our Google Drive, I guess. At least to the API. So now with this account, we want now to access the Google Drive. So maybe, oh, there's even a Sheets API. Ah, that's good. So have a look. Maybe we can also use that one. Billing, APIs and services. Nah. So library, sheet. Google Enterprise. The Sheets API gives you full control over content and appearance of the spreadsheet data. Reads and writes Google Sheets. Okay. But this is now the REST API, I guess. So when we access the whole API via this, we will do it with the other one. So this account, cool. So we can even use that same service account. Is required for a project. It cannot be modified. This automatically generated OAuth client. Okay. Configure the consent screen. Okay, what is that? Only available to users within your organization. Available to any test users with a Google account. Your app will start the testing mode, and I think external is good. Oof. OAuth consent screen. Wants to access your Google account, select display name. Yeah, wait a second. I think we don't want to really access something. So let's have a look if we can do it without this consent. So now you can start creating credentials. We did that. Service account, G Sheets. Yep. Selected roles, create a key. We have to create a key still. That can be, so how do we do that? No, I think the key is already created, right? So if I go to credentials, I am not a freelancer actually. I work for Sono Motors, which is motors.com, which is a German car manufacturer. And their specialty is that they create with solar panels inside of the doors and the roof and the so on and so forth. And the reason why this is a cool thing is it loads electric car with 30Ks every day. So you can see we want to create trucks in the future and things like that. So at the moment we are a startup, but I really, really love the idea. And if you are interested, check it out. And in the meantime, if I have free time like today, I am live streaming with you guys. Exactly, it's the solar powered, yeah. It has a lot of good community besides of that. So now I'm a bit confused. So do I need to create something here? Probably this is a bit outdated. On the other side, download a file that contains private keys. Store the file securely because, did I miss something? Service account optional. Press continue, create a key. How do I create a key? This is the client key. Keys. Here we go. Create a new key. We talk probably JSON, I could imagine. Yep. Now comes your last but very important step. You need to give the permission to access the spreadsheets to the service account. Copy email address of the service account you have created and go to spreadsheet you want to access programmatically. Ah, this is how it works. Okay, cool. So now we have this, I saved that. And on the other side, we have to use this account here. And if I've understood that correctly, we now want to go here inside to that Flashcard app and share it with this user. And he is a viewer. And send it over. Actually, they don't use Flutter at the moment. They work with React Native. And yes, I'm from Germany, but I live at a different town. So I'm living in Karlsruhe and not in Munich, like Sono Motors is located. So now our users has access to the Flashcard API. Okay. So thank you, Alexandra Marenkov. I should maybe clap also for you. Give him some claps for this amazing talk. And that's it. Now you're a credential with access to spreadsheet. You can start coding now. Not completely true. So let's have a look. He has created this nice little access tool. I think the name was G-Sheet, right? So basic usage of C example. Okay, so we have the credentials, your Google out credential, how to create credentials. Okay, so we have the service account, we have the out URI, the token URI, the auth provider, and I guess the private key ID and things. This is all located in the JSON file, I guess. And then your spreadsheet ID, it can be found in the link to your spreadsheet link, looks like in the path of the ID. Okay. Here we can also get the cells and stuff. Okay. Really? That's great, because the tech in Germany is always very interesting to see where it is everywhere in the world. What my most German moment I had ever was I was in New Zealand at the gas station, and in the gas station, you have these metal things like rings surrounding that where the fuel comes out. And on it was a big label with made in Germany. And I was like, okay, it moved with me. So the whole world on the other side of the world find the things that are created in Germany. It was pretty amazing, to be honest. So we have that. We have now a service account, and now with that JSON file, if we take a look into that JSON, we probably will see all the credentials, and probably it's not a good idea to show on stream, but I will do it anyway, and probably will delete the account later, because it helps us to understand what we are doing. If we take a look into notes, I hope we can see it here. What I'm doing, come. We just put it inside of Android Studio. Here we go. And as you can see, here are all the things like private key, the ID, the auth tokens, and things like that. So, and with that, we can now access it. The only downside with that package at the moment is I think it is not like I would like to see it, but I'm not sure. So here access G-Sheets. Let's have a look into repository and have a look how this is created. So source, first of all, view the license. So this is a license 2.0. You may not use this file except in compliance with the license. You may obtain the copy of the license. Okay. Check the license. This is definition, license, shall name, blah, blah, blah. Oops. You are most welcome, Ahmed. I'm very happy that the things that you like. Then now I search for the license, because if you are using a license that is not allowed, and if it's not really an open source license, then you have problems, and I don't want to get problems. So I search at the moment for the an easy solution, a short identifier. Maybe this is it. Apache license. There are usually like easy, something that very easily explains how this one. Aha, here it is. So we cannot hold him liable. We don't are allowed to use trademarks. We have to include a copyright. Describes whether the original must be retained. Include license. So we have to have the same license, which we don't have. State changes and include a notice. And we are allowed to do all of that. So with that, we cannot really use his source code. And with that, this complete, Alex, nice that you made this package, but not usable for me. Sorry. Great. So back to our problem. We have now that Google Sheets account. Your mic is cute. So just now visited the Sono Motors website. The concept is great, but not here. It's just here charge and recharge and move on. No self-charging concept. There is, so I'm pretty sure there is one because we're working on that. But if you're going to the car up here, we find the Scion and you find the 305 and it charges itself through the power of the sun. So it's not self-charging, it's charging by the sun. And powered by the sun, it reaches up to blah, 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 the great self-sufficient, flexible charge. So to charge 80% takes 35 minutes on the charging station. Yeah, but there's a lot of things writing about it because they love it so much. And also the press is hyped. Like if you watch some of the movies and things, there are a lot of informations. Personally, I don't like cars at all. I try to avoid it. And also our founders of the company, they tell that actually cars take too much space. So at the moment I try to switch completely to a bike, and that's very interesting because I don't know if you know these, how do you call that? Lastenrad? In Lastenrad, is there? I have to check if there is an English word for it because no idea. Children, no, that's not the same thing. Okay. Lastenfahrrad. No, that's just not correct. Image. So this thing, is it a children's fair? I cannot believe that. So it's a bicycle where you put children and products in front of it. But okay. So back to the stream. I just have a question. I have a stream of data coming from an API, just like stock API. I want to show if the price go up and down with green and red color. So what's the question? Do it. So we have the out.io. So we can authenticate by the credentials. Maybe we can use this package here to get access to it. So let's see. We want to use that. Read me once more. Generate Dart libraries access to use the APIs from Flutter. See Flutter Google APIs. Pick the desired API. I did that. Enable the API. I did that. Authenticate the user with the required scopes. Use the Google sign-in package to authenticate. Okay. So now we are coming closer. Let's head over to our Android Studio. I'm working for myself. That's not good. So just give you a short part on what I had in my mind. So first of all, I wanted to use the package of Alex. He created one to use and access the Google Sheets directly. The downside is that the license did not work for me. So I cannot use it actually. So now the idea is to switch back to the Google APIs, which is provided by Google itself. And if we take a look into the license, I don't necessarily take a look now into the license because I use the package. I don't want to modify it, but I'm pretty sure this one is at least a BSD free. So commercial use, distribution, and I have, because I use the package, the license will be automatically with deployed, but I don't have to take the same license. So that's very important for me. So, good. How to show the color on the price change. If you get the stream, you will have to save the previous value. And if you receive a new value, you have to identify if the value is higher or lower. Ola electric bike. Ola electric bike. I have no idea. Never heard about it. Ola S1. Oh, this is a bit more like a bike, right? It looks already like a scooter. I think they are pretty cool, but I'm always a bit afraid of scooters because they are too quiet, especially if they are that small and things. So I think in Germany you get very easily ignored by other cars, which makes it, well, 115 km/h. That is ridiculously fast for a scooter. Cool. How to stay persistent? Well, that's a very good question. I think Mahtab is there way more better than me, as she has the big story with, hey, I was never a developer, and then I got into it and I started, and she had me as a pusher, more or less. And she was persistent for 2 years, and then she was successful in development. How to do that? Well, the easiest way to say it, find people who help you with, so that you find someone who is maybe in the same position like you. And if you cannot find that, then always create yourself a goal that you can achieve. Small goals that you can achieve, because that leads to a habit. So that means instead of directly say you want to develop the next $1 billion app, maybe think about create a tic-tac-toe game or memory or something smaller. And if this not works for you because you feel still overwhelmed, then you can go one step lower. Say, okay, I want to understand what a variable is. I want to use it. And I always call that wrong. Variable. I think my pronunciation is off. Variable. And what a variable is. Understand where the difference is between a method and a function. What is the difference? And get some basic knowledge and then extend on that. So if you know what a method is and where the difference is to a function, try to play with it. Where's the difference? Why is there a difference? Do I really need that? What is a parameter? And try to find a success out of that. Because, for example, if you make a tutorial somewhere and you have no idea about it, you watch it and you create your first program and you sit there, shit, I didn't understand anything. And then you work a lot, try it again, get it back into it, and then come back to the problem. It's amazing if you repeat a tutorial, because you see how much better you got from the last time, and you understand more nuances of this tutorial, which I really like to make myself persistent. How is the M1 Air for Flutter development? Is it okay? I love my M1. I have a small M1 from the work at the moment. I love it. It's amazing. The performance is great. The only downside for Flutter at the moment is I think you cannot create a Mac OS application. But yeah, I can live with that. Exactly, really good. GetX or provider, depends. So, but quickly back, GetX or provider, I just said it for fun, but GetX is a very big package. I always be a bit cautious with large dependencies, so I would recommend you to start with provider, understand your problem, and after that going further with GetX if you want to. Because there exists something that calls dependency hell, and if you are interested, you can check a little bit out. But then you see some pictures like this, for example. Something like that, where you get a lot of dependencies that are coming from anywhere and everything works with everything. And you don't know really anymore where the dependency comes from. And if you have one single dependency, you have a single dependency. If something goes wrong, yeah, well, then you have a problem. My experience with M1 Android Emulator, I was happy with it actually. In general, I'm really happy with the M1 completely. The fan is completely quiet. I had never heard it since I own it. I'm very happy with the performance, and until now, I really cannot say anything bad about it. The only downside, as I said, is at the moment that the Flutter development within Mac OS is not really possible. So if you find a cheap one, and at the moment you will find maybe some cheap ones because some people are not so happy as I am. Because I think for a normal user, it's sometimes a bit frustrated to not get all the packages that you need, or all the tools that you need, or maybe you have to use the emulator, which is also sometimes a bit of pain in the ass, especially if you work with React Native. Okay, but enough of React Native bashing. So back to our app. So Alex things gone. We use now Google APIs, and as they mentioned here, we found this Flutter Google APIs doc. And if we jump here, we find a short step-by-step introduction on how to implement a Google API. I think they do it now at the moment for Google YouTube v3. And we did also a live stream there where we used that package actually. So my idea is now, instead of using all of that, we try to follow this tutorial step by step to access the client. So the idea is to import Google Sign-In somewhere and then sign in with our YouTube read-only scope. So I think what we can do, and I'm not sure, we have to read that inside of here, but what I think we can do is using that JSON file that we created and put it here inside to read all the infos. Yeah, iOS usage. So here we have the scopes, Google sign-in. Not sure. But maybe we can directly pass it here inside. We have to check that. M1 has a backdoor which can be easily hacked. Oh, okay, that's really bad. The session, 35 minutes and 30 minutes, so much fun, sir. Didn't notice how fast time. That is the things that I want to hear. Then I'm really happy, because then my job is perfectly done. I'm very glad that you like it, really. Thank you for that good feedback. That is exactly the things why I'm doing these live streams, actually. Okay, the only downside, whenever I read the comments, I'm somehow out of my programming styles again and starting off from new. But okay, we wanted to Google sign in, and my idea was to get that in sample app. You need to enable Google People API. Fulfill the OAuth consent screen, otherwise may occur API exception. Okay, we can try that. First registered application did that. Or did we? At Firebase. Why do I need now Firebase? Ah, I need Firebase for the authentication. Okay. Okay, so we will use that Google sign-in service account. Not sure if this is possible even. Creating a service account, we have that. Delegate domain wide, okay. Preparing the authorized call. Google credential from stream file input, create scope, singleton. So they get it from a JSON. Okay, the question is now, if we installed both of them, so what we have is now in our domain, we will create a new a new directory or a new file, which we could call auth.dart. So inside of here, I want to take all the care of authentication in general. So class authentication, or better auth, that will happen here inside. And inside of this class, we want now to collect all the authentication stuff. The reason I'm doing this way is I would like to import the credential thing, so the Google sign-in. So if we check, this will be the only file where the Google sign-in will be imported. Oops. Like that. And inside here, we will now have probably a Google sign-in service, Google sign-in account. Okay, let's try that. What do we receive from it? Absolutely nothing. Google sign-in demo. Google sign-in account is the current user. Google sign-in, where is it? Up here. So this is Google sign-in. We create that. And what does he want to get? Must have a method body because out is an abstract. Okay, let's check. So var t equals. So this is just to have a test variable. So we have to pass that in. Now we can jump inside. So we have the Google sign-in options. Do we have a possibility like dot from or something? Okay, network error, standard. No, not really. How did I do that with the other solution when I had this YouTube to-do helper? Not sure if this was the one. Yeah, I think that was the one. So there I also worked already with the Google APIs. And there we use the Google APIs out. So why do we use now something different? And I think this Google APIs out takes the credentials and it takes it from the JSON file. Oops. Credential access out and type. Then we use this client get. Thank you for the help. You're such a nice guy. I'm always here for you guys. And then we had all these different calls, but this is directly on the API call. Okay, and we passed in the API key. Interesting. Okay, so this is not necessarily, so this would be if I'm a user, is that correct? The Flutter plugin, this plugin is still under development. Okay, might not be available. Platform integration, so we knew that. Google sign in, HTTP Google out, contacts only. The problem, I'm not sure what this is for, this package at the moment. For Google sign in. So just to make sure that you understand, this is all not that easily if you want to try something new. So if you have ideas, if I do something completely off, or you have already done something like that, always let me know. But what I could do is, and pub.dev, if I go to the Google Sheet once more, to the package, instead of cloning everything, I can maybe check how he implemented these things. So we have this G shard. Okay, so he has a source, A1 ref G sheet, and utils. So he also uses the Google API's add method. Okay, so it is exactly like I thought. So we are not accessing, okay. Good. So that means we use from Google APIs. Here we have something like authentication, probably. Google Chat API, identity. Google OAuth API. Obtains end user authorization grants for use with other Google APIs. Sounds possible. OAuth 2 API obtains end user grants for use with other. From the Google API console, we did that already with the OAuth. Obtain the access token from the Google authorization server. Send the access token to an API. Refresh the access token. Create and sign a GWT. So Google API such as blah, 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 but no user consent is necessary. Similar, perfect. You need a service account. We have that. JSON web tokens. We strongly encourage you to use a library to perform these tasks. Service account documentation. Okay. We have created already a service account that we don't need. Google credential. It's really sad that they don't put here what I want to see. I would like to have here Flutter and Dart inside. But I'm pretty sure that needs to be done via this one here, Google OAuth API. I think there is not so much possibility else. Can we find maybe Flutter OAuth Google OAuth 2 Google services? Await storage read. Pull data out of secure storage. An out client from Google API auth library. Okay. Aha, this is an own library actually. To access Google APIs, this package will provide convenience, functionality for obtaining authenticated HTTP client. Client-side web application or obtain authenticated HTTP. That's the way. That's why we use that auth browser stuff. Installed application. This is what we would use. And okay, so that makes a lot clearer. So, and the funny thing is, I did all of that already, I think, half a year ago, and I forgot nearly everything again. So we are just to show you that spec.yaml. Just to show you that you will probably also forget a lot of stuff during your working time. So if we get that back, now we have the Google APIs out. We don't need the other package anymore. And with that, our auth package can remove this because we don't want to actually log in as a user. And now what we want to do is accessing this auth package here. And I think with this one, we have the possibility to create a new Google Cloud project, enable all APIs that we want, obtain the application credentials, use Google API to obtain access credentials, obtain an authenticated HTTP client. And with that, we have the possibility to ask for an HTTP client, which can then do REST calls to our backend. There are different ways to achieve the third and fourth step. The following is a list of supported OAuth flaws with a description of those steps. For client-side only web application, a client ID needs to create it. When creating a new client ID, select web application type for client-side only. That would be if we want to navigate to Google, to the Google website and there authenticate. But the problem is we know already that we are authenticated. We want to install it so that nobody else actually needs to authenticate. When creating a new client ID, select installed applications others. Okay, so probably we have to do this too. Do we have another option? Autonomous application service account. Here we are, service account. We created a service account for this. So if we go to the Flashcard user with this email, this is our service account. So if you see, this is a service account. So that means this is not a real user. It is just a computer user, more or less. And this one needs to access now. So this is what we want. If an application wants to act autonomously and access data from a Google Cloud project, then a service account can be created. In this case, no user authentication is involved. Service account can be created. We did that. We got already the JSON document, which contains a private RSA key. After the service account was created, you can obtain access credentials via. Yeah, beautiful. That is super easy. And what do we get here now? We get the obtain access credentials via service account are available in credentials. What would be the benefit? I think to create this HTTP client directly is better for us, or client via service account, then auth client. The authenticated HTTP client can now access APIs. Okay. I would say we authenticate the HTTP client. Was created, you can obtain. Yeah, because this one would be just creating the credentials, and then we could use Google Sign-In to log in as a user, but we don't really need that. What we need is an HTTP client that we can use to directly fire HTTP calls with the credentials inside. So, that being said, we would call this part here. So we need this import. We can put that up here. And then I just copy this information down here because we would do that inside of here probably. So there is like a login or get HTTP or get not signed in, get HTTP client for service user. Get registered HTTP client. Something like that. I'm not sure yet. So this will return something. We don't know that yet. And inside of here, we want to call this part. So we get the account credentials. This is just what we need to log in, I guess. And now we see already there are a lot of things. So we have out browser, out IO, Google APIs, out. Okay, there are a lot of possibilities. They took now out IO, and I think I will keep the same. That worked already. From JSON. So the question is, why do we pass in then a map? That doesn't make sense, I think. I know a map is a JSON at the end, from type string to string, to dynamic. Creates a new. JSON can be either a map or a JSON map encoded as a string. The optional named argument impersonated is used to set the user to impersonating a user. We don't want that. It can be directly the client. And here can be a JSON string. Okay, first of all, what we need now is we need this JSON file in our project. It needs to be delivered at the end. So what I can do is I can pass in this into the domain. Is it part of it? We do it for now. But what I also want to do, I did now already a mistake. I added this file. Because this JSON file can be added, but should it be on the GitHub repository? So my thinking is at the moment, these are, well, a little bit of information that we don't want to share maybe with everyone. On the other side, I wouldn't care too much if this is now public available. I think I will really share that with the community and everyone, because the folder should be always the same and has anyway only reading access. So I think there is no security issue at the moment. Do I see any security issue at the moment with that? I am not sure. But I think for now it is fine. I will rename that just to make it easier accessible for me. And this is our service account. Yeah, just our service account credentials. Good. Whew. Okay. So with these servers account credentials, we have now the possibility to log in against our HTTP client. And now we just have to read this file. Yeah, I can do that with the file. We did that already several times. But if we don't do that this way, One option would be to move and copy that into the auth part. I think that would be also an option. So we don't read it from the JSON, we just pass it here inside. Benefit of it, it's very easy readable. Downside of it is, what is the downside? I guess the downside would be that we have to always have it here and it's not really configuration possibility. So if someone else want to put his stuff inside, it is not easy. But on the other side, we want to keep it as slim as possible. So for now, I think that is okay-ish. Nah, let's read it. I think it's better. Okay, so what we would do here is we create a file, final file, and that would be our credential file. And we access it via the path like we did yesterday a lot. So we get the path of this file from the repository root. And we import, also not that good. We need to access Dart.io, and with that we will destroy again the web service if we want to use it. Okay, fair enough. We do it differently. We take all of that, we pass it here inside, we create a const or a const for it, like credentials, and pass that in. We finish that off. And instead of this, we pass inside the credentials. So I think it's still configurable, but we don't have to provide, or we don't have the dependency to the Dart.io. Because Dart.io is only available for your iOS, Android, macOS, and all the things that have a file system, but it will not work for web. And so this would be the preferred way, I guess. So that will also mean that we maybe have in the future some problems there. Okay, so now he asks for scopes. And I'm actually not sure what this is. So what do we want with scopes now? Do we see something? Compute engine, we don't have that. What does scopes mean in this area? Not sure. Maybe we find something in one of the other documentations. So we have this. We have the scope string and then YouTube read-only scope. Follow the instruction provided Google sign-in. So they have also scopes. YouTube API. So if this YouTube API, it comes also from the v3, from the Google APIs package. Also a good idea piece to put the credentials just in a config Dart file. That would be also a good option. You're right. But we will have... Yeah, I think we can do that. I think if you have the idea already, we should consider that. And so inside, is it a domain logic? Not really, so I put it in lib and we'll call it config.dart. And I have this credentials here inside. And this one can import this constant. Not sure if config is a good name, but for now it's okay-ish, I guess. Okay, so in the scopes, we want to have access to the Google Sheets. So probably, if I search for that, if we have the Sheet API, so API details, Sheets v4. So maybe Sheet. So Sheet v4, okay. And here we want to get from JSON, no. YouTube API dot. What was the idea here? I just want to know channel from, here are the different scopes inside. So interesting that we don't have one for G Sheet, Google Sheet. Because we need the API, Sheet API. Sheets API. Dot. Aha, and here we have access to the different scopes. Nice. Drive file scope, read-only scope, drive scope. Okay. So we have to identify the different scopes. Can we jump inside? See, edit, create, and delete all your Google Sheets spreadsheets. I think that is a bit too much. See and download all your Google Drive files. That would be an option. See, edit, create, and delete only the specific Google Drive files you use with this app. Okay. See all your Google Sheets spreadsheets. Spreadsheets read-only scope. I think that would be the first one that I would like to try. References to profile, email, name, etc. attributes. Yep. And it seems that this scope is what we are allowed to use, right? Inside of the API, if I've understood this documentation here correctly. So if we ask for the different scopes, then we can, is that what we want to access in the future? So see and download all your Drive files. Probably we also want to have this read-only scope. So just add that one. Sheets API dot drive only scope. Perfect. So, but this doesn't help us yet because we don't do anything with the variables or variables. Sure, Isa, tomorrow, hopefully a bit earlier than today, you will get a notification if you hit the bell icon. I'm sorry, I have to, since the last couple of streams, I hear that I don't notify easy enough. And yeah, so this time I always make advertisement for the bell icon. Horrible YouTubers who advertisement their stuff, right? Okay, to use the APIs from Flutter, we can check that once more, and I think we have that already here. So you see, as a developer, if you have less than 3 tabs open, you do something wrong, usually. So what I can recommend you, and this is now an expert tip, and I use usually Firefox, but probably like I'm on the minority here. So if you are using Chrome, you can do something like this that I highly recommend you. So for example, I go to some news pages that are in Germany, like Tagesschau, very important. And with that, we have now a lot of news. And what you can do, you can group these things. So you can add tab to reading list to a new group. And then you call that, for example, news, and make it blue. And then you can add these to this group. This is now a new group. And you can add this one also to the group up here. So, and with that, you get these groups here together, and you can even collapse these things. So you don't have any more that many tabs, and you can reuse it. And now if you say, but then I cannot ever update my browser, you can, by history, you can always open the last tabs. So make sure to always use just one browser window with a lot of tabs, because it makes it way easier to navigate. And if you have to update once in a while, then you can still do that. And I highly recommend you always to update. I can even drag and drop into the group, but not with groups inside. Okay, tech news. The Verge, good. And I can just drop it here. Oh, perfect. Look how beautiful and easy it is. Thank you, Peace. Thank you, Isa. Good. Yeah, but I cannot do that. Or can I do that? I'm not sure. Bookmark, move tab to, send tab, share tab. No. You see, sadly, I can pin it. So that is already a thing in Firefox, but unfortunately we cannot group them. I think that is something we need in the future. Or can I? No. Would be new to me. Or let me Google quickly. Firefox group tabs. Hitting Command Shift E. What? Okay, open multiple, restore tabs from previous, move tabs around, reopen tabs, bookmark tabs, group tabs for better organization, no longer available. Oh. So it was possible, then they removed it, and now I'm sad. What is one tab? That looks weird. No. Okay, good stuff. We tried it. No worries. I give my best. But I always have the feeling I bore you if I come into problems like this one. So when we don't directly find the best solution. And so, yeah, live streaming is always a bit difficult. So obtaining an authenticated HTTP client. So with that, they ask for the Google sign-in package, extension out Dart, and then they use await Google sign-in authenticated client. I think I read this somewhere. Don't we have storage? I think we had this out package. Client visa user consent. Wait, this is the wrong one. Service account, this one. Obtain access credentials via service account. And then they passed in an HTTP client. Ah. So what we have to create is here an HTTP client, like final client equals HTTP. This is the package that we all know and love, like HTTP, this one. And the HTTP package is just to make web requests, like calling the network requests with HTTP verbs. And actually, I created a video for server architecture, and this will come in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm not sure. And inside of that video, I will explain a little bit more on how network requests work, how server and client works, and we will create a Dart shelf server. And I'm really looking forward to it. Simple tab groups add-ons might work. Okay, let me check. Simple tab groups. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's try it. Why not? Recommended. So, okay. Options. Restore previous settings. Okay, so settings and then restore previous session. Warn you when quitting. No. So, okay, we did that. And now create a new group. Or can I just drag and drop? No. Okay, create a new group. I don't know. Let's have a good name. GitHub. I don't know. It's just a trial. Okay, that opens now. Huh? What happens? Where's my browser? Everything is gone. No, that's not good. Ah, aha, we have now other tabs. How do I switch? Show other tabs? Okay, I will have to read it first before I understand exactly how it works. So we will do that after the stream so that I don't bore you by clicking around how the groups are working. But thank you for the tip. I will have a look. Okay, so I'm teaching you. That's great, Sumit. I'm very happy if this is the way how you see it. That's perfect then. Then we learn all something from it. Okay, back to the memories where we have been. So we have the Google APIs. We want to get now a client. So with the HTTP package, we ask for a client. This should be now just a new one. And we have to get this HTTP. The sad thing is that the HTTP is not a class. It exists only out of different methods. And that is the reason why we have to always specify the name for it. So now we have the client. And if we take a look here, we get now this little method, obtain access credentials, that we can use here. Probably we need to import something. No, that's good. And if we call this method, it asks us for client credentials, which is our account credentials, I guess. Then we have a list of scopes, which is the scopes. And last but not least, it's our base client. So, and this method probably will return us a future of access credentials using service in case the service account has no access to the requested scope or another error occurs. The returned future will complete with an exception. Okay, that makes sense. So this is a future and we can wait for it. That makes this method asynchronous. And if we do that, we will probably receive, what was it? Access credentials. And we can close the client sooner or later. So, but that means now the client that we receive, so this client up here is mutated. So that means here inside we have now access to all the allowed calls. And what we will do is we return the client. So that means we return an factory of client, which is an abstract class of client, which returns as a base client. Probably, right? So we call the create client and we receive a base client. Exactly. Oh, and there is something, cannot create a client without .html or .io. Okay, we have both of them. Good. So that being said, we return here this. And not completely true, because we are asynchronous, we return a future of that. So this is HTTP base client. Good. And this client is not the same. Why not? Can't be returned from method get registered because it has a return type of future base client. Ah, I forgot to wait here, probably. Create client, and this one is no. Why is it a future of base client? No, that is not true. Why is it a future of base client? We await here. This is asynchronous. Future base client. Base client, we return that. Is this a mistake? No, that. Why we don't return the access credentials? Well, we could, but with we don't really need the access credentials. There's just the access token, the scopes and things like that. So we would use that if we would like to manage OAuth a little bit more. But the idea of mine was that we use that client that we receive to make our HTTP calls that we want to. So if we want to get, for example, the Google Sheets, then we can use this as this client to make these calls and so on and so forth. But now I'm not sure anymore. Ah, because I'm stupid. Because I'm stupid. Okay, or an authenticated HTTP client. So you can see I was in the wrong documentation space. So we want to get this client here. And it returns as a real client. So this is the way that I wanted to do. So we get the credentials, we get the scopes and the client. So we have to pass in here base client, I guess. So. And instead of returning this, now we return here the auto refreshing out client. That means whenever we make a call with this client, we get a new refresh token and can make the next HTTP request. That is even better than than I thought. So we get this one. So I wait for that. So we can say return, because that is actually what we want to return. And if we know that, this will probably be that. Will not close. The user is responsible. What is that? That is an abstract class of auth client. So what actually does this return us? We get an auth client back, which takes client, yeah, from the HTTP package. So this one returns us now a future of HTTP, and hopefully it's this time correct, client. Ah, great stuff. So with that, we have the possibility now to ask for the client. We create our own. Actually, we don't even have to do that, I guess, because if we don't do that, this one will create its own. So if the base client is null, it creates a new client, else it will take the same one. So I think it's better to just use the one that we receive and make it as easy as possible. Also, you see, I don't test here at the moment. And the reason why I don't test is because we have too many dependencies that I would need to mock. And I don't really like that, so I keep these classes usually, these methods probably very small, but I try to not really test these things because these from JSON things are tested by the library. So I just assume that they are working and I don't create real logic here inside. I just use things if you want. So getting a sip of water. But a good point, Mohammed. With your comment, I think we would have lucky. So, first of all, I will open up the window quickly and go quickly to the bathroom. And in the meantime, yeah, I hope you enjoy the music a little bit. And I see I should have changed the text, you know, I prepared everything so beautifully and forgot to change it. Hey. All right. All right, so we got now our client, we registered our HTTP client, and we have now access to it. And I saw in my short break that a lot of you asked for access, and I was a bit surprised because I thought if I share the link with you, change to anyone, restrict, only people added can open this. Ah, okay, this is of course wrong. Anyone with the link, viewer. Exactly, so that was the idea actually. Copy, done. Anyone can view it. Okay, perfect. So that being said, if I share this link now, oops, what's that? Go. So then you will have directly access to the drive. Sorry for that. Okay. So, and with this HTTP client, we can now make the requests. So let's have a look what Sheets 4 make. Do we even need that? Google reads and writes for more. Developer Google Sheet. Create an instance to access these sources. Spreadsheet sources. Client string root. Service path. String sheet need a client. Ah, look at that. So we need a registered client probably. And then we will have access to all the things. Oh, nice. So that being said, it will be nothing that will make the auth client, I guess, but we would have something like a sheet service or Dart. So, and here we want to have, I don't know, a class sheet. Not sure if this is all good, but we will see. And this sheet service will now be able to access the Google Sheets, or should be able to. And it receives a client, and with this client, he will work, or it will work. So what we can do is, let me quickly think. So we could create a constructor for this class and say we need a client to do whatever we want to do here inside. So in our, how do we create a constructor? Sheet service, put that inside. And now here we would have final client. And this client here will be set via the constructor. We have to import, of course, HTTP again. So import HTTP as HTTP. And with that, we have our client now ready. And the good thing is now, whenever we create a new service, for example, get sheet, we pass nothing inside, then we can access the client up here with whatever we need. Delete, get, head, pod. But what we need is actually our sheet API, I guess. Exactly, because Sheets API needs a client. And what we now could do is we could get a client from our parent, whoever calls us. But what we will have is not a client, we have a Sheets API. So if we take a look here, I'm pretty sure, does it return anything? Ah, it's a class itself. So what we can have here is this Sheets API inside. No? Sheets API. Now we have it. Create a constructor with that, and that's not completely true. This is we receive an HTTP client, but we create immediately out of it a Sheets API and create the client inside this Sheets API. Does not work because this is final, cannot be, of course. Okay, probably I use at the moment all these fields wrong. Ah, okay. So this one can be nullable because in the first seconds it could be null. And undefined class, we can do that to import HTTP Dart. Very late again. Okay. Fitting to the problem here. Thank you. Late is a good idea. Yeah, Mino, today was very late. I'm sorry. I guess tomorrow I will be a bit earlier. At least is my plan. So and with that, we could now ignore the sheets. We have the Sheets API here. And we can now access the spreadsheets, for example. Not sure how this works, but we get now sheets, spreadsheet resources, values. Okay. So next step would be to understand everything, how they are working actually. Applies one or more updates. Okay, maybe we need also a drive, right? Not sure if we have access to the Drive API. And this Drive API has a scope again. See, edit, create, delete only the specified you use with this app. You go view the apps and delete all your Google Drive files. See, probably. I need a read-only part. Metadata scope. Ooh. Are you speaking Japanese today, Minu? I have to quickly put the chat into a new window because I don't see it very good. What are we doing? Okay, maybe I make a short recap what we did today. We started by, what did we do actually today? We started by understanding everything. Oh, it's Korean, even better. We started by looking into our app, what we have created so far. And then I came to the small idea to implement today the Google APIs and make it callable so that we see our Google Sheets. So since today, we have now a Flashcard App folder in the Flutter Explained Gmail account, which is possible to create folders inside. And the idea is now to access this folder via API. For that, we took a look into the Google API start package in the Sheets 404 library. We took a look onto how to we created a developer account or a service account. OAuth2, I think it's part of it. We created the credentials for it. We invited this flashcard user into our app. So if we take a look, we have now this flashcard user inside. And now we want that our app is able to access these spreadsheets from the client. And what we did so far and what we understood is how we can authenticate a client. And Minu, for you, this is nothing new, because if you remember maybe the YouTube client that I created a year ago or something, we had the possibility to access the YouTube API to read the comments. So if someone would have written !to-do, we would have created a comment inside of this YouTube helper. So maybe we also will take that one again into account or into usage the next time. And then we created the account credentials. We asked for the service clients and passed out the HTTP client that we received from it. And the next step would be to create a sheet service that is allowed to access the client and get sheets or do something with the sheets in the future. What are OOP concepts that are important for Flutter and development in general? I have done the theory a lot of times, but never built an E2E app to reinforce the learning. How to do that? I would recommend you take a framework that enforces OOP a bit more, like for example JHipster. It is not Dart in that case, but it's Java. But JHipster has a lot of possibilities and it is real cool because you get like this JDL, and with that you can create entities and fields and things like that. And it embraces OOP in a way that is really ridiculous. So you can take some time to read about it. It also uses Spring in the backend, DTOs and things like that, has a lot of documentation. and it helps you to really grasp the core concepts of OOP, or better, you have to understand OOP in deep to really use JHipster in a good manner. And I was working with it several years ago, and I really liked it, and because it was so easy. Also, I think OOP is more, I think for TypeScript and things, you can also use nowadays OOP techniques, but yeah, it is important to really work with it. So if you are sitting in a company and people are telling you OOP is important, well, we create here also classes, but at the moment I don't even create interfaces for it, which would be maybe a good idea. Especially because I think these auth services and sheet services are not necessarily a domain thing, that are more a repository thing, because we receive now data from an HTTP request. So actually that would move down here, which is a good point at this point. And now the thing is, this sheet service could be something else, right? At the moment, we have somewhere the CSV reader, which is also more a repository because we read from the file system to get this CSV read inside. And if you think about the CSV reader and sheet service could be also connected into an interface where we say, okay, we have some kind of CSV reader or some kind of data delivery service for our flashcards. And yeah, patterns, I think we had yesterday or the day before the talk about design patterns, architecture patterns and stuff like that. Yeah, you switched the topic from Java to the code. Sorry, was I too fast? But I was talking about the concepts, right? So what we could do is, for example, create something that gets somehow the data. So like a reader or file reader .dart, and this file reader could be an abstract class that somehow is a reader somehow. So, and with that, we would start at least some of the core concepts, and then we could say, okay, this one needs to implement this one. And now we have at least a collection of things, you know, then it's getting a bit more readable and we wouldn't have the problems later if we change things. But at the moment, we want to keep it still simple. So I don't do that yet. Get away. Okay, sorry that I talked so weirdly. Good. We moved now that to the repository. I think that is still a good idea because all of these things are taking data from outside and we don't do anything with these data actually. Maybe we need something that transfers that, but this is something for the next stream, I guess. I moved that a little bit around. Good. No worries. So we have this possibility, we have this possibility, and now we need to understand a bit more on how this API is working actually. Because at the moment we just get spreadsheets, and what we can try is to read that, and let's have a look what happens here. So we create a debugger here because I have no idea. And now let's create just some kind of call that we can do. So in our homepage, we have some buttons, right? And my idea would be now to just copy one of them and just to make us a small testable, debuggable thing that we can use and just make a random method here. And inside of here, we can have an example icon. We have something that is a nice example icon. I think this ice cold AC unit is a fantastic test and debug icon. You should see the package I referenced in the messages. It's housed some unique way to work with Flutter. I like services, use case, repository, data mapping, saving with object box. I don't see your reference in the messages, sadly, Mohammed. Maybe I have to check the hold back methods or something. Do you see something, Minu, as a moderator? I cannot see something at the moment. Okay. But on Prest, we want now to create this client with auth. So what we need is this method here. We'll get a registered HTTP client. And what do we need? Nothing, I guess. We just have to import it. Of course, this out is a class, so we have to create it. So I will do it now here immediately, which is not the best way, and we will find better ways in the future. But at the moment, I want to just get this package here. Now we get a client back. Final client is equal to that. And next is that we get the sheet service. So sheet service dot get sheet. Wow, was that the delay until now? Oh, crazy. And here we have to pass in the client. The argument of type future client. Oh, of course, this is an await. Cool. And with that, we get the sheet. So, and now inside of here, we can have the breakpoint. And what I will do is instead of running it as a main, we will use the debugger here. And what we can also do is just print something like whatever comes here back, result. And we print that. Reason why I'm doing that, I can just do that. And with that, we can use the tools that we have and see what is the actual result here inside. So we have our AC unit. If I press it, we jump here inside and we can see that result is nothing. That's not good. Probably it did not build correctly. So what we will do is hot restart and press the button again. Click and click. Do we have now more possibilities? Evaluate expression. Cannot evaluate. That's weird. Can we evaluate that? Yes, we can. So we get a requester with HTTP. This is probably an async call. Get spreadsheet resources. Requester client. I don't really understand what this means. What do we request here? Sheets? Batch update, create, get, spreadsheet ID. But where do I know the sheet ID from? What is a sheet? And then copy. Copy to. So let me evaluate this. And here we get a requester again with the HTTP client. This is just the requester. Okay, so I don't understand the sheet at the moment yet. So we get this spreadsheet resource to access these resource. Okay, and what is that? Create get returns a spreadsheet at a given ID. That would return me a spreadsheet. And now with my method, with this sheets, I get this resource. Copy to. Whew. I have to admit I'm a bit sad on how the documentation is done here. Sheets API. Get started. Aha. So Google Sheets API overview. The Google Sheet API is a RESTful interface that lets you read, modify, and spreadsheets data. The most common uses of API, including the following tasks: create spreadsheet, read and write spreadsheet cell values, update spreadsheet formatted, and manage connected sheets. Okay, but with them, I only get access to the spreadsheets itself. So I still need to have somehow access to Google Drive to find the spreadsheet ID. The primary object of Google Sheets that can contain multiple sheets. Okay, so if I have now the correct info, Sheets, API, Spreadsheets, evaluate. So we get a resulter. And on that, we can do a lot of things, create, and we can get one of them. So if I ask now for a specific spreadsheet ID, let us take one. So we want to get this spreadsheet ID, get link, probably there it is inside. That will be this one, I guess. Or is there any, if I open it up. So probably this part here is the ID. Pass it inside as a string, probably. And now let's see what we receive if we evaluate that. We get a future back. Okay. So next would be to say wait. Cannot evaluate. Okay, that's sad. So get is a async future of spreadsheet. Okay. So what I want to do here with this method is just getting a spreadsheet and take a look on how the function is. To the different sheet tab. I hope not. I would say if we have different sheet tabs down here, we can then access it somehow with this spreadsheet here. But let's have a look first before we try to guess, because that would be pretty weird. Where the idea is the name of the tab. Spreadsheets. See document status. What do you mean? Sorry, maybe you are right. You're onto something. Help. ID. So you think this one is the tab, not the ID of the spreadsheet. So sheet API, get started, spreadsheet ID, and has a unique spreadsheet value. Containing letter, number, hyphen, you can find the spreadsheet ID in the Google Sheets URL. So I thought this is the spreadsheet ID. No, this is the spreadsheet ID. Yeah, this is the link that we had. So if I take a look here, we can see the added GID there. So this is the URL that we have, and the spreadsheet ID is that part. Good. So now try that again. And coming to that, exactly. So now we have a result with a spreadsheet. But good thinking, I like that. So we get the ID, we get the URL, and what do we have now on this one? We have sheets, and this sheets is growable with properties, with a grid, okay. Properties on change, it's English. Ah, we have the title, that's already good. But what do I do now with that? That's the sad thing at the moment. Bandit get data is null. Grid properties, we have column count of 26, row count of 1000. Great, great stuff. Title sheet 1. Okay. Cool. So we have already access to the spreadsheet. That's pretty good. But now the downside is I don't know how to access actually the data inside of this spreadsheet. So if I get this spreadsheet now, result dot, what do we get? We have a sheet, data sources schedule, ID URL, data sources. What is data sources? So let's get back to that. So you have data sources, but this is null. Interesting. So why can I not read it correctly now? Cell, an individual field. Cells are, we get a sheet, a page of tab within a spreadsheet. Each sheet is represented by the sheet resource and has a unique title and a numeric sheet ID. You can find the sheet ID in the Google Sheets. Okay. So you can query on the results. I'm not completely sure. Result dot, I can get the sheets, which wouldn't be helpful necessarily. Do we have any method for like properties, spread? No, it has no methods that could help us here. An individual field of text or data within a sheet. Cells are arranged in rows and columns and can be grouped together as a range of cells. Each cell is represented by a cell data resource, but doesn't have a unique ID value. Instead, cells are defined by their row and column coordinates. Okay, but it seems that our result that we receive exists out of sheets. We get the sheet, so we have that one sheet, but row groups is null. And it seems we don't get these values, sadly. I could map sheet, but where should I map it to? We get the grid, we have the title grid properties, we have the cell count. We have even the name, so the name is also good. I don't have data inside of it? Maybe I was stupid and it didn't have anything? No, we have something. A1 and B1. So to get started with Google Sheets API, to learn about developing with Google Work API, including handling, authentication, authorization, get started as a workspace developer. To learn how to configure in simple Sheet API quick start overview. Explain, blah, blah, blah. Left-hand navigation. Okay, so let's take a programming language. I take JavaScript. And it refers to Python. Okay. Ooh. We init clear. Okay, let's take Java. Maybe it's more program oriented. We have some dependencies. We'll set up the example. Get some scopes. In this case, the spreadsheets read only. This is what we have too. Sadly, there is no Dart. Read and write values. I think that is what we search for. So spreadsheets can have multiple sheets, with each sheet having any numbers of rows and columns. A cell is a location to the intersection of a particular row and column. We learned that. Provides the spreadsheets values collection to enable the simply reading or writing of values. I think they are not, if you are sending links, you will probably not get them visible here. Reading a single range, sheets, spreadsheets, values.get. Do we have Dart? No. Okay. Okay, so let's try that. Sheets, spreadsheets. So sheets we have already. Sheets would be this one. And then on this, okay. So we have, for example, result.sheets. First, I think this would be our first spreadsheet, right? Now, spreadsheets.values. The built-in method spreadsheet app get active spreadsheet. Spreadsheet app get active spreadsheet get range get values is more appropriate. So we have this active spreadsheet and we want to get the JavaScript example. Result, response, results, spreadsheets, values, get. But the problem is GAPI client sheets, spreadsheets, values.get. But isn't the problem we don't get this? We have the spreadsheet, or do we need spreadsheets, values? We don't want to have the specific spreadsheet. and then values, and then we get the values, and now we say get, and then we ask for, now I got it. Okay, and then we ask for the spreadsheet ID and passing in probably the range that we want. And the range is, what is the range? A value range, a core string. Why is it a core string? Range. The range is the values covers in A1 notion for output. The range indicates the entire requested range, even though. So that that being said is major dimension. Okay, I think I understood. So to get this range, we want now to access, for example, A2. So I can say A as a string A2. So finished. Get rid of that. Final result equals A1 B5. Why A1 B5? A1 B5. Would that not be E1? A1 B5. Ah, the range. Ah, the range. Okay. But how is that possible for my use case? I cannot know how many elements there are inside. Okay. Reading multiple ranges. So you understand my problem, right? So I don't know how many elements, but this is the next problem. Okay, good point. So let's try to get at least this range. Okay, you said A1 to B5. I like the idea. So if we ask for that, we get the result, and now hot restart and look. Let's have a look where we are coming to. So, and a hot restart, going to the app and freezing, collecting data, getting the result. We have the major transformation. Okay, we get rows. We have the range, we have values, German. Aha. And the coolest part of that is that this looks already pretty promising. Yes, that's amazing. Good stuff. Okay, so that helps me already a lot. And I think with that, we will have the perfect elements to get the ranges to learn more about that. I will do now single range. Okay, call values, additional rows, client spreadsheets. There is a lot of things happening. Okay, appending values. Okay, but we are read only, so it's not possible. Cool. In any case, I thank you so much because I'm very happy that we came so far. I know we didn't finish it yet, but this is still an ongoing journey. What I will do for now is I will create our first commit, which includes a lot of things, but I will also add these pod files. I think they are needed to build things. So, but in general, we already started with a lot of different things, and I will just commit that stuff so that we don't forget about it. So we made it possible. First API or Google Sheet API call, because we slowly come to the end of the live stream, but we will do that tomorrow. And yes, exactly, Pete, this is my idea, because what my idea is, we want to get the information about the sheet. So we will have the sheet, await sheets API dot get, no, we had it beforehand, spreadsheets. Then we ask for the sheet. I think we can ask here get. And if we pass now this inside, then we get the meta information about this spreadsheet. That being said, there is inside how many down we have. Have you tried Gitpod? A long time ago. But you're right, and with this sheet we can then access things like sheet dot, I think sheets, it was inside there somehow when we have the sheet. I think we get the first one, and inside of that we have charts, column groups, and I think there were properties and things that has the information on how many slices we have. Okay, but all of that will be a topic for tomorrow, and I'm really, yes, I'm committing the credentials here, so this whole credentials part is also committed. The reason is this service account is anyway only for read access, and if my quota is reached, yeah, then it's done. So feel free to read as much you want from my Google Drive. I think that shouldn't be a problem at all. So that's why I committed also the credentials here for this user. Okay, but with that we have learned a lot. At least I learned a lot today, and that was pretty amazing. And I learned how we access again with Google APIs out. We learned again on how we implement everything and access with Google APIs the spreadsheets. The next step will be to read the correct values that we want and replace our CSV possibility with the Google Spreadsheets and the Google Drive. And the next step after that is to make everything a little bit more dynamic. That would be my idea. That being said, would be that we call the Google Drive, get the folder structure, understand all the different folders inside of it, reading the files, and then we open it up as a CSV and then read all the data that we need. Whew. Okay, all of that was a lot, I know. If you have questions, as always, come to me. If you are unhappy that we didn't finish it today, I am too. But I think that is also part of our job as a developer, right? We never always find the answers immediately. Cool. Exactly. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, there will be a video online about files and folder structure in Flutter. Feel free to look at it. Give me a like if you are already generous. And else, we will see us latest tomorrow to the next live stream. I don't know the time yet, and I will create the live stream as soon as possible. So hit the bell icon to don't miss it. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we see us tomorrow. And I always forget that I should do this screen, that I'm a bit bigger for you. But we will do that tomorrow more, and then I am a bit better prepared again. Okay, if you have cool tools, things that I should try in the meantime, please let me know. And hopefully tomorrow we have polls. And now, thanks for watching. Thanks for this amazing live stream. We will see us tomorrow. Bye, everyone.